think we are in there. I think. Yep, it's live. Let's see how well it stays. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Testing, testing. Okay, well, there we go. All right. So, three of y'all are watching. If you guys can hear me, type something in the chat. Throw a heart in the chat. Let me see if y'all can hear me. Because I cannot hear myself. I don't want to turn it up because then it will give me feedback. Oh, not y'all. In the YouTube. In the YouTube. Let's see. Let's see. We can chit chat for a second. Let me put this on. I know y'all can hear me on TikTok, but okay. Boom. All right. Well, it says that we are live. It says we are. Yep, there we are. We're there. Okay. See, three people watching. They ain't answering me though. They ain't saying nothing in the chat. That's all right. I got my TikTok chat people here. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, we got about 5 more minutes. I just wanted to make sure that we were all here and running. Okay. Any marketing tips for beginner nail techs? I am currently practicing. Hoping to take clients soon. You need to join the Nail Boss Blueprints. We are talking about marketing in the morning. Matter of fact, that is our next marketing 101 for nail techs. We'll be doing that in the morning. So if you're interested in that, please, by all means, join us. Join us tomorrow. Okay. Hey, Angel, how are you? All right. Let's go back here. Hey, okay. I see y'all can hear me. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Kay Jones. All right. So we're gonna get started right at 6 o'clock. I want to give my students some time to get in here. I'm just checking out the TikTok chat. You guys, hey, Angel Williams says, hey, Queen, I start my mocks on Tuesday. Congratulations. Your mock state board, that means you are getting ready to graduate. Excellent. Excelente. Excellent. All right. Rebecca and Kay Jones, thank y'all so much for being on time. Like I said, we're going to start in just a few minutes. This morning we had the Nail Boss Blueprint. It was an excellent class. We have 13 modules. We got through 7 of them today. If you haven't already joined the Nail Boss Blueprint, I definitely recommend that you join it tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about a lot of different things, all business, okay? Um, Angel Williams says, all thanks to your help. You are so welcome, darling. That is what I'm here for. It is my calling to help nail techs become successful. It's what I love to do. Okay. I really appreciate you trusting me with your education and getting you to this point. It was a pleasure. All right. Let me see if I, and you guys feel free to share this live. This is a free live, okay? Free, but they won't always be, okay? So check it out while you have the opportunity. All right. Got a couple more minutes and we'll get started. Where do I teach out of? I own a school in Augusta, Georgia. Tonight is Sunday school. Tonight we are doing Sunday school. Okay. This is the nights where I am on Sundays. I plan to teach my theory courses live for my current students that are enrolled in our school. They and from time to time I will allow you guys to join if you like. Um Again, this class is free and I am live on TikTok as well. TikTok, you always y'all are my co-hosts. I love to have you guys, and I love for you guys to ask questions. But if you really want to see what's going on, if you really want to see what we're talking about, get the whole classroom experience, come on over to YouTube. Okay, come on over here to YouTube. YouTube is king. That's where we do all of our actual slides, and YouTube gets preference because my students are here watching, and definitely going to give them 100% of my attention. So you guys, if you want to watch on TikTok, feel free. Just make sure you tap the screen. Don't sit there and just watch. Okay, be engaged with me. And if you want to come over to YouTube, I will answer all your questions. We're going to be talking about the history of nails, and it is 6 o'clock. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't want to be here all day. I have been working since 5 a.m. and we're going to do it all again tomorrow. So, we got about 10 people watching in here right now. Thank y'all so much. Let's go ahead and get started. So, we're talking about the history of nails today. All right. When we talk about the history of nails, we're nails have been around for a long time. Okay. Since ancient times. Okay. So, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to explain why you need to have an understanding of the history of nail technology and why it's important for future career success as a nail tech. Okay. We're also going to summarize the cultural influences. All right. The influences of nail technology in ancient history. Okay. Because some of the things that we're doing today, they've been doing. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay. Nothing at all. We're going to outline the key milestones of the history of nail technology in the 20th century. Okay. And describe the advancements in nail technology in the 20th century. Okay. Not only are we going to talk about history, we're also going to talk about career opportunities in the beauty industry, because there's so much more to nails than just polish and bling, right? There's so much more to it. All right. Ariana says, I'm a manicurist instructor in Texas and I enjoy watching you. Thank you, Ariana. I really appreciate that. Keep watching. And I hope that I can inspire you, to be the best you can for your students as well. All right. So let's keep this moving. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, or either whether it's TikTok or YouTube. I'll be happy to answer those questions as long as they are related to the current subject. Okay. All right. So why, please, you guys, engage. All right. So why do we need to have an understanding of the history of nail technology? And also, why is it important for you to understand the future career successes that are available to you as a nail technician? I mean, at the end of the day, we can all, anybody can learn to do nails, right? But there's way more opportunities out there, and I can tell you, I could name probably 10 off the top of my head. But let's jump right in and talk about it. All right. So first of all, when we talk about the history of nail technology, we're discussing an evolution, okay? An evolution of products, tools, techniques, and career opportunities in the field. All right. So we once considered part of hygiene and medical and medical industries as far as cosmetology is concerned. It's now a specialty within the field. Like nails, esthetician. I was talking to my boo about this morning. Esthetician, barber, nails. What else? Anything skincare related, hair, barbering. What else? What's another one? I don't know why it's off the top of my head. There's some more. As far as under the cosmetology umbrella, lashes, makeup, all of that stuff is under the cosmetology umbrella. And at one point, these things weren't considered um uh beauty, right? This was part of personal hygiene and also medical. Like these things were needed in order for us to be healthy, right? Grooming our nails, grooming our hair, cutting our hairs and hair and things like that. So, nail technology is under the umbrella of cosmetology. Okay, so technicians should have a thorough understanding of the history of nail technology because and available career opportunities, because knowing the history can help you predict and understand upcoming trends, right? So it helps you understand the development of techniques that are out there and also services that are used today. Okay. Um, so my student Kay Jones, she said first class was so much fun. I think this is going to be amazing. Thank you for doing this for us. You are welcome. So learning about the many different nail care services will help broaden your offerings or assist you in developing one or more specialties within your practice. Okay. So it's just like, if you've got a doctor that specializes in, let's just say, a dermatologist, you want your dermatologist to not only know the history of dermatology and how it's changed over the years, but also all of the different ways that they can perform their job and do their job better, right? So, in order for us to do better, we got to know better, we got to do better and know our history to be able to change it. So, learning about these career paths will also help you take advantage of the wide variety of opportunities available to nail technicians. So I can tell you this from personal experience. When I first got into the nail industry, it was just I got discouraged. I thought all I would be able to do is just do nails, and in the beginning I wasn't that good at it. And I started seeking out extra help and going to other courses, and I learned so much that outside of what I was doing as a nail technician, there were so many different things that I could do. For instance, become an educator, which is what I'm doing right now. All right. Someone asked, is she teaching a class right now? I am. I am teaching a class on YouTube live right now. So if you want to join the live, you can see what we're actually talking about, what my students see. Just click the link in the bio. Okay. Not only is there education, but there's school ownership. There's things like becoming an advanced nail technician, working in a doctor's office, and we'll get more into that as we go along, okay? So, if you're going to ask questions, please make sure they pertain to the subject. All right? So, I will answer them if they do. If they don't, I will bypass them. Okay? We're trying to stick to this class. So, let's summarize some of the cultural influences of nail technology in ancient history. Some of these things that we're doing right now have already been done. Okay? They've already been done. So, nail technology dates back to at least 3000 BC. Okay? And if you don't know, BC stands for before Christ. Okay? So, that's a long time. So, with each period from since then contributing to new approaches to the way we do things now. So, a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't. So, let's talk about it. So, some cultural influences that have happened in ancient history. Charleston said, I've literally hung out with you all day. You have. Yes, you have. And I'm glad to have you. All right. So let's go back to some of these ancient times. So back in ancient Babylonia, okay? I don't even know where the hell Babylonia is. But uh royal Babylonian tombs dating back to 3,200 before Christ, years before Christ, they yielded some very lavish, solid gold nail care implements for the hands and feet. They were some of the first people to create implements, and they were made out of solid gold. Can you imagine pushing back someone's cuticles with a solid gold cuticle pusher? I don't know about that. But that's what they did. And so another thing they did when it came to nails, and this is dated back so long ago, was prior to major battles, Babylonian warriors, men, actually manicured their nails and darkened them with coal. Okay. And when I say coal, we're talking KOHL. You know that stuff that you put under your eyes and make them, dark around your eyes, right? So with that being said, men were adorning their nails with color even back 3,000 years ago. Okay. So with that being said, we're always gonna have people in the chat that want to argue. But someone said no, it couldn't be solid gold, it'd be too soft. Well, baby, you can argue with the historians. Don't argue with me. Argue with your mama. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, but this is history we're talking about here. I didn't make it up. All right. So back in ancient Egypt, okay, so what, let me take it back. So like I said, men were doing this prior to 3,000 before now. Like this is nothing new, right? Men polishing their nails in or coloring their nails. So again, there's nothing new under the sun. All right. So ancient Egypt. Back in ancient Egypt times, Queen Nefertiti, y'all know Queen Nefertiti, right? So that was around 1400 BC. Okay. So they used henna paste to stain her fingertips. Y'all know henna. You've probably seen henna in Indian style make nails, excuse me, when they adorn it on their arms and their hands and their nails. So they did that back in Queen Nefertiti times. And this was a deep red color, crimson color, while Queen Cleopatra, who was also Egyptian, now we're moving up in time, right? This was circa around 50 BC, all right? They used henna to stain her nails a rust red color hue. So they didn't really have polish, but they did have stains and things of that nature to be able to color the nails without actually polishing them. So that's kind of cool. Like I said, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to nails. All right. This stuff has been going on for a while. So here's something else that you probably didn't know. All right. In ancient Egypt, back in those days, only royalty was allowed to wear red nails. Okay. Now, I don't know about y'all, but back when I was coming up, my mama said only floozies wore red nails. Her exact words, only floozies wear red nails. And that's why, I don't know, I was very rebellious back then. And I was like, what color do you want? Red. Red. Can I get red, please? Just to make my mom mad. But that was a long time ago. I was a little kid. I was rebellious. But back then, only royalty was allowed to wear red nails, right? So lower classes of people, such as scribes and merchants and people who cleaned, the help, they were only allowed to wear pale colors. Okay. Whatever pale colors were back then. I'm gonna assume things like nude. Okay. Colors like that. So, back then, red equaled royalty. And, to me, I've always felt that way. I love red nails. I love me a nasty red nail. Okay. Now, ancient China, though. Okay. So let's go back to 1600 BC. All right. 1600. So during the Shang dynasty, Shang dynasty, the Chinese aristocrats, they rubbed a tinted mixture of gum Arabic. I don't know what the hell that is. Please don't ask me. Look it up. Ask ChatGPT. But they mixed it up with Arabic gelatin, beeswax, and egg whites. So they were kind of the first type polish mixture. I bet that was real. Can you imagine egg whites? I bet that stuff stunk. But they rubbed that into their nails to stain them a crimson color or an ebony color. So we're talking a deep red or maybe a black color into their nails. All right. And these were Chinese aristocrats. So you know the people, the rich people. So throughout the Zhou dynasty, which we're still in ancient China. Now, this was around 1100 BC. Okay. They literally wore silver and gold pieces on their nails. And this was only worn by royal family members. Okay. So if you were not a royal, someone who was a king or a queen or a family member of one, you weren't allowed to wear this gold and silver on your nails. Okay. So, I mean, don't we do that. I don't think that we necessarily wear real gold or silver, but you know, we do wear our little chrome and our gold and all that stuff. So keep that in mind. Royalty wore silver and gold. So let's try that with I'm trying to give my students, because they have to do a nail art design based on this history of nails on next Friday and Saturday. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what you may or may not want to do in class. Okay. So I do gold chrome, silver chrome, decked out nails. Now, Chinese, they decorated these what were called nail guards on their nails as early as the 200 years before Christ even arrived. All right. So and the royalty, these royals, they used those to protect their long nails, to keep them from breaking, and having those shields or nail guards on their nails symbolized how rich they were. Okay. Rich. You got money if you can put gold shields on your nails to keep them from breaking. All right. So, couple more different genres that we want to talk about here. So, ancient Greece. Okay, y'all know Greece, right? Um during the golden age of Greece. Now, this is also around 500 to 300 BC. How about this, y'all? Ain't this funny? Mistresses. Okay, mistresses. Y'all know what a mistress is, right? You know, the side chick. Mistresses of wealthy men used yellow flower petals, okay, and pollen from flowers and potassium salt, whatever that is, to create a pale nail color to signify innocence, superior social status, and sexual desirability. So the Greeks, you know, the Greeks, the one, you know, the Euro people, the ones that make that good Euro rap in the mall. The Greeks, for their mistresses, they side chicks, they hoes. Okay, they would smash up yellow flowers, pollen, and salt and create a yellow color nail polish to apply to their hoes. To the side chicks, to the mistresses. All right. So that they could show their superior status and sexual desirability. I know I said that twice, but I had to say it again because I thought I was reading that wrong. Yeah. All right. So yellow nails for you hoes. Okay. Pale yellow. You ever see a lady with yellow nails? Pale yellow to be exact. Um, don't let her around your man. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. All right. So soldiers, ancient Greek soldiers, y'all don't pay me no mind. I start to talking crazy when it gets late. It's late. It's late. I've been up since 5 a.m. So Greek soldiers, okay, yeah, don't get yellow nails. Remember that. Unless you a hoe. I mean, you know, unless you a side chick, baby. All right. Soldiers in Greece also applied matching red color. Now get this. This is interesting. The male soldiers applied matching red color to their nails and their lips when they were preparing for battle. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Okay. Soldiers, red lips, red nails right before they went to war. Okay. Yeah, I said that. So, moving right along to Rome. Let's go to Rome. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, right? So, in ancient Rome, around 200 BC, barbershops. Yep, I said barbershops. They had barbershops back in 200, excuse me, BC. They were some of the first people in history to offer trimming of the nails and shaping of the nails for only the rich. Okay? The rich people. All the poor folks had long, crusty, dusty, dirty nails. All right. Yeah, only the rich people got to get their nails cut and shaped. What they use, God Lord knows, I don't know. They who knows? They probably use scissors or something, or a knife. But the rich people in Rome, barbershops were cutting and trimming nails on the rich folks. All right. And men and women used what was known as, and let me ask you this, when you hear this word, tell me if you recognize something about it. Okay. Men and women back in ancient Rome used something known as lac, LAC. And this was a varnish like substance, okay, produced by an insect known as the lac insect, okay, as well as a mixture of sheep's blood with fat that they mixed up, and they whipped it up with the lac and the sheep's blood and fat to color their nails. And that is why we call polish, thank you, chat, you got it, lacquer. Okay. So when next time you put nail polish on, I don't want you to get grossed out, but the word literally comes from, I don't know, maybe this bug poops out, or I don't know, you squeeze it, and I don't know, and the stuff called lac comes out. Maybe it's sticky or something. I'm making this up as we go. But it's an insect mixed with sheep blood and fat, and they polished it on the nails. Sounds really good, right? Sounds tasty, right? All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is the Middle Ages. All right. So when we talk about the Middle Ages, now we're going after Christ, right? We're going after Christ. So we're going to about 470-ish to 1450-ish after the death of Christ. So these were considered the Middle Ages. And this is when the upper European middle class, the white people from the upper class, Europeans, they kept their nails trimmed short and buffed with suede leather. Okay. They would use suede, which is animal skin, leather to buff their nails. So these were the first people to actually, try to make their nails, manicure them in some type of way, make them shiny. All right. The white people from the European upper class. Sounds about right. Okay. And in the late Middle Ages, later on, the Europeans commonly used knives to trim their nails. Okay. Knives. Okay. They referred this or called this, they called it rough hewing, or it was a method of paring. So they would use it like, how you take a little knife and you cut an apple to cut the skin off the apple, right? You trim it down. That's the same way they used to cut nails. So with that being said, aren't y'all glad that we have nail clippers and trimmers now? I can only imagine trying to cut my nails with a knife, okay? And not cutting myself. All right. So how y'all feel about that history so far? Like, this is stuff maybe you didn't know. I know one thing. I'm so glad, like you said, Charlotte, in the chat. It makes chemicals sound a little bit better, right? It makes chemicals when you're using it on your, rather than a bug, some blood from a sheep, and mixed up with fat to polish your nails. It sounds a whole lot better. I'm sorry. Give me a bottle of chemicals all day long. I don't know if I can. I bet you won't bite your nails then if you got them polished with lac. All right. So let's move on to these last three right here. Cultural influences in ancient history. Okay. Tony said, I've used scissors. Yeah, I've used scissors before, but a paring knife? Yeah, no. Charlotte says, "Can you imagine? Give me that beef liver color." I can't. Oh my God. I can't even imagine what that looked like. But I bet it was better than, their natural nail color to them. All right. So the ancient Incas. Okay. Now, when we think about the Incas, this was down in South America, down in Mexico, that area, the Incans. Okay. So in the 1400s, the Incan tribes people used sharpened wood sticks. Okay, and natural dyes to decorate their nails. So back then, they were quite literally sharpening little sticks, dipping it into dye, and then writing on their nails and decorating them with symbols like eagles or sun gods. So the ancient Incans were the first people in history to do nail art, okay, with like a actually painting on the nails with ink, okay, and putting nail designs. All right, you can give that to the ancient Incans, okay. And like I said, that's down there in South America, close to Mexico area. Okay, so I don't know, that period said they still use bugs in certain parts of Mexico for artesian products and makeup. I believe it. I believe it. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So taking something and actually sharpening it to a point where you could write on it and write on the nail, that's pretty cool. I can almost visualize that. All right. Now let's move up because we're moving up in time. That was in the 1400s with the Incans. But now let's move on up to the Renaissance, okay? The Renaissance period. Now, during this period, most Europeans, the Europeans avoided colored nail products altogether. However, the rich people, they still manicured their nails, okay? So you had to have money to wear nails, all right? Or wear color on your nails. If you were poor, you didn't wear it. But if you had money, you manicured your nails and used color. Okay. Thank you so much, Loyalty Royalty. All right. So archaeological digs, okay, from that period have uncovered the very first nail cleaners. Okay. Some doubling as ear scoops. So when I say nail cleaners, we're talking about stuff that, the little nail scoops like that you clean out from under your nails with that look like little melon ballers. Okay. But they also used them not only for the nails, but also to clean out their ears. So I bet you they didn't have anything like what we have as far as sanitation is concerned back then, but people were using their ear scoops to clean out their nails and God knows whatever they were cleaning else they were cleaning it with. So but these things were made of things like bone or metal, okay, and they came in a wide variety of designs. So I think that's pretty cool. Imagine having implements made out of metal or bone and then using doubling your nail cleaner as an ear scoop. Ew. They didn't have Q-tips back then? I guess not. All right. So this last one, the Victorian Age. Okay. Victorian, where during the reign of Queen Victoria of England. Okay. Back in after death, this would have been about the 1800s to the 1900s. Okay. Nails were always short, clean, natural, or tinted with some type of red scented oil. Okay, and then buffed with a chamois, that same leather that we use to buff nails with. We can't use that nowadays because they're not sanitizable, but that's what they were using back then. So in the 1870s, the first commercial salon was opened. Okay, and it was opened in Paris. Okay, the first nail salon was opened in Paris, France. So, and that was in the 1870s. Okay. Kay Jones says, "Thank goodness. I'm glad we have advanced. You know that had to smell so bad. I bet it did." And she also said, "Carmine in our cosmetics is still sourced from beetles." Blech. Blech. Yuck. In 1878, sorry, Mary E. Cobb. Okay. Mary E. Cobb. This was the first American nail care salon. Okay. And she called it Miss Praise Manicure. Like pray. Miss Praise Manicure. And it was in New York City. 1878. Mary E. Cobb. Okay. First American nail care salon. The first salon, though, was in Paris. All right. So I'm trying not to think about it, Charlotte. I'm trying. All right. I don't want to think about no beetle bug juice in my makeup. All right. So that's pretty cool history right there. I mean, if you didn't know all of this stuff, it's kind of cool to know as a nail tech some of the stuff that we now know about the history of nails. So let's outline some of the key milestones of the history of nail technology in the 20th century. 20th century. So we have moved on from, way back in the day, Jesus times, and before and after Jesus. Okay. And we're now in the 20th century. So that would be the 1900s on up. Okay. Okay. So the nail care industry experienced rapid growth, y'all. When you know how it is, you open a nail salon, and next thing you know, there's one nail salon. Next thing you know, there was a hundred of them. All right. So the nail care industry experienced rapid growth in the 20th century, including product and tool innovation. Okay. So this is in the 20th century. This is when they started coming up with tools and products for us to put on our nails and use this technology. Okay. Happy New Year, Albany Beauty Academy. So the use of manicures and pedicures in society's desire for them was elevated greatly. People started caring about the way their nails looked. They started caring and they started wanting products to enhance them. All right. So in 1919, yes, Bilbo Ball Baggins, that's a funny name. When vanity was out the gate. Yes, vanity in the 1900s is when it started booming. All right. The very first, okay, maybe y'all know this. Maybe y'all have heard of something called the Avon Company. You have to be a certain age to remember the Avon lady knocking on your door. Okay. So that company back in the day in 1919 was called the California Perfume Company. Okay. The California Perfume Company, now known as the Avon Company. Okay. They were the first people to market the very first manicuring set. Okay. A little kit, right? Pushing cuticles back and all that good stuff. All right. And this included something called nail bleach. My granny always kept nail bleach and a rose pomade polish. Okay. So Avon, first people to start selling a nail kit. Okay. Now, maybe y'all have heard of a company called Q-Tex. Cutex. They still exist today. So does Avon. All right. They released back in the 1900s, between 1900 and 1920, 1919, they released the first clear rose tinted liquid nail polishes. Okay. The kind, just very sheer polishes, just give you a little bit of color. Okay. So that's pretty cool. I used to love me some Avon, honey. I still like Avon, but back then you were something if you ordered Avon. The Avon lady, and then the Avon lady, boy, there was always at my job, always an Avon catalog. Always. You can always find it. And on the back, it was like, contact me to order. Phone number and all that good stuff. They would come to your house. All right. So that and the Mary Kay lady. All right. So let's see. Charlotte said, I used to love those little lipstick samples. Oh, girl, yes, they would be this big. And I promise you, I had probably had a purse full of them. You just put it on, just a little tiny little lipstick. It probably lasts you about 5 lipstick applications. Okay. And then yes, the bubbles, the bath bubbles. Yes. They still have Avon is still existing. So you can still order Avon. I just don't know. I don't know. That stuff costs as much as any other makeup brand now. So Skin So Soft, please don't. Skin So Soft was good for if you had to keep mosquitoes away during the summer. My mama used to slather me down with the Skin So Soft. Now, okay, back to nails. So ornate nail care implements were also made of tempered steel. Okay, so they changed from using solid gold, bone, and sticks to tempered steel. Okay, so and they decorated those with coveted materials, all right, such as ivory and ebony and gemstones. So you had you a nail clipper or a cuticle pusher covered in ivory, ebony, and gemstones. I promise you. No, I bet you keep that safe in your drawer. Okay, you didn't just leave that on the table for somebody to take. All right. So Naya too said growing up there was a lady who sold Avon in her basement, brought back memories. Yes, everybody. Look, you had to have somewhere to put that stuff. On to the 1920s. So in the 1920s, this was when the very first was came into fruition. All right. So the moon manicure, this left the lanula and the tip bare. Okay, the lanula of the nail. And this gained in popularity after silent movie stars wore this nail fashion on screen. Okay, they would wear this, back then, if it was on the movies, just like now, it was popular. So the very first actual nail art style that became popular was after silent movie stars wore it. And okay, you remember this? Well, I don't remember them, but the silent movies that they didn't talk and it just went, and they walked around and they did the faces and stuff. So people, they made sure their nails were done. Okay. Now, still, we're in the 1920s. All right. Now, the moon manicure, remember, this left the lanula. So they only painted in the middle of the nail. Okay. Not mom used to say, don't answer the door. It's the Avon lady. She knows she wanted to sell you something. Right. So, in the 20s, Q-Tex also, remember, they were the first ones to create the nail polish. Well, quite naturally, they were going to be the ones to introduce the first acetone-based nail polish remover. Okay? And to this day, Q-Tex still is around and you can buy their nail polish remover mostly in the pharmacies like CVS or Walgreens, right? The non-professional brands, okay? The stuff your grandma probably got a bottle of it sitting on her counter. All right? Now, back in the 20s, manicurists, okay, because now we had nail salons, okay? Now we had actual salons. So we had manicurists. I'm sure they didn't have to go to school or learn it. Someone, it was like each one teach one kind of deal, okay? Manicurists repaired nail breaks with using things like shredded strips of tea bags, okay? Tea bags. Just trimming those tea bags and gluing it down or using polish to repair a nail break. My grandmother, she always had very beautiful natural nails, and this was a method that she absolutely used. Okay, what we would consider nail wraps today. Okay, so if you ever run out of nail wraps, or if you have a nail break in your home and you need something, go and grab you a tea bag or maybe even a tea filter. Okay, and you can take a little glue and fix a nail break, buff it and make it smooth. All right, so moving right along to the 1930s. Okay, Kay Jones said, and she said Avon Skin So Soft was the best for mosquito repellent out in the country. Yes, I remember that. All right, so moving to the 1930s. These times, all right, these days and times, inspired by new advances in automobile paints, okay? Because remember, this is when automobiles came along, and these automobiles, they had paint on them. So because of the advances in automobile paint, a makeup artist named Michelle Minard partnered with Charles Revlon. Y'all ever heard of the Revlon company? All right. Charles Revlon was the founder of the Revlon company. Okay. And in conjunction with that makeup artist, they developed the very first modern nail polish. Okay. Using pigments that they used in automobiles rather than dyes. Okay. So nail polish, the first nail polishes derived from automobile paint, which makes perfect sense, honestly. Okay. So the moon manicure, okay, we talked about the moon manicure in the 20s, now became with in conjunction with sharp pointed tips. If you look at this picture in this slide, you can see stiletto nails aren't new. Okay? They were popular back in the 20s and the 30s. And look how short they are. They almost look a little scary. They almost look a little scary. They look like they were like kitten claws. Okay. So you people that think that you invented something, let me just tell you something. I've only been around this world for 45 years this year. Okay. In July, I'll be 45. And I've seen these things, all these trends come around at least 2 or 3 times. Okay. So you young folks, y'all get it out. Y'all ain't doing nothing new. Okay. There's nothing new under this here sun. Okay. Now, stiletto tips with the moon manicure. Okay, so my students that have to do this nail art, y'all, I'm trying to help y'all out here, give y'all a few ideas. All right. Now, during the Great Depression, because the Great Depression did happen back in the 30s. All right. So nail polish became desirable as an affordable luxury. Okay. People back then, they couldn't afford much, but polish was a luxury during the Great Depression. If you had your fingernails polished back then, you had a little money stashed away. Okay. Just a little. Because it wasn't something that was readily available during the Depression. Now, the 40s. This is when the weekly manicure, the weekly, okay? Y'all complain about bi-weekly. Y'all complain about 3 weeks. Y'all want your nails the last 6 weeks, okay? But back in the 40s, the weekly manicure became a popular and affordable beauty service. My granny went and got her hair washed, curled, set, and her nails done every week. And it had to be on Friday or Saturday, fresh for church, okay? So weekly manicures became a beauty service that was affordable for everyone. All right. And now at this point, this was when blockbuster movies started to be shown in color. And when they started showing movies in color, well, that's when they had to start creating matching lipsticks and like Chris said, matching lipsticks and manicures to match your nails, right? So actresses started, you could see the color they were wearing. And this started sparking new trends for the entire country, okay, or the world, right? They started seeing these colors and they had to match their lips, had to match their nails. And this also included the nail trend called the half moon manicure, okay, where or fully painted longer nails with oval or almond shaped nails. So again, you guys think y'all created something with the almond nails. No, no, no. You did not. Okay? You did not. It's been around since the 40s. So, like Chris said, matching nail polish and lipstick shades became a fashion statement. They actually used to sell them in a duo pack. Okay? Or you didn't buy a polish if it didn't match your nails. And you were changing it out every week. So, hey, why not? So, moving along to the 50s. All right? In the 50s, this was a great day in time. Well, my mama was born in the 50s. She would tell you that. All right. So, Rita Hayworth, one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood at the time, she made red nails the most popular and enduring color of that decade, hands down. Okay. The weekly manicure appointment changed. People started purchasing their polish in the stores, and they no longer needed to go to the nail salons to get their nails done. So they started that weekly appointment started declining in popularity, and people started to do their own nails at home. Wonder why. So there was a young lady named Juliette Margolins. We're still in the 50s now. Okay. Yes. Justin the Elliot. Rita Hayworth definitely gave good face. Okay. All right. So Juliet Margolins introduced something known as the Juliet wrap. Okay. The Juliet wrap. This was a natural nail enhancement. Okay. Natural nail enhancement service that you wrapped the top third of the nail with a fiber like paper, and this gave you strength and durability. So women at this time doing the Juliet wrap, which was basically what we call nail wraps today, this was a way for women to grow their nails naturally without adding an extension because it gave the nail strength and durability. Okay. And we do this now. Well, it has become back popular again, nail wraps and the natural, the uber natural and ultra natural nail look. But you can grow your nails out natural nails out if you apply a nail wrap to them. That's one of my favorite ways to grow my natural nails. All right. So the Juliet wrap was the very first nail wrap service that did not include adding acrylic or a tip or anything. It helped you grow your nails. Hey, Sparkle Supply, how you doing? Okay. Now, we're still in the 50s. Now, this is when everything changed in the nail industry. Everything changed in the nail industry. This is when stuff started to get real for and us acrylic nail techs, and this is where it all began. Okay. So a doctor named Fred Slack and his brother Tom, they founded the very first acrylic company. Now, it was called Patty Nails, P-A-T-T-I, Patty Nails. And how it came about was Dr. Fred tore his thumbnail, okay? And while he was working, and he created an impromptu fix with some foil and acrylic material, okay? So the Slack family business that was called Patty Nails back then is now known as the nail company that we call NSI Nails today. Dr. Fred, by the way, was a dentist, okay? So dental materials that they used to create teeth and fix teeth back then are the very same materials that we use in nails, just a little bit different, but the exact same materials. Okay. So Dr. Fred Slack, very first inventor of the nail, well, him and his brother came up with the acrylic company that we now know as NSI Nails, one of my very favorite nail companies. I have products in my drawer right now as we speak from NSI. Okay. So that's when it all changed. Had acrylic then. So now let's move into the 60s. Okay. The 1960s, color television. Okay. Color television made musicians, all right, the new nail trendsetters. Chris said OPI was originally a dental company as well. I would assume that all of them were back then in some kind of way. All right. So in the 60s, color television came out. Before that, we had black and white. And then the color TV came out. And now musicians started becoming the new innovators of nail trends. Okay. Not unlike they are today. They're still that way. Now, this is when detached nail tips, okay, your tip, all right, these were now reaffixed to the nails. People started gluing them with what we call or now call nail glue, but back then it was airplane model glue. If you ever had known anybody that does model cars or model airplanes, they used to use that glue. My dad used to airbrush them and put them together, and he'd have these airplanes, and it was so super cool. But he used to use a glue too to put these things together. Okay, and then they would use that glue and reinforced strands of cotton and permanent wave paper. Permanent wave paper, you know what I mean by that? When you get a perm, they put that way. Any cosmetologist knows what I'm talking about. Very thin paper. It's almost, I'm gonna tell you what it looks like. It looks like paper. Yep, that. You know what I'm talking about? Because I don't want to get bananaed off of here. So, but that's what it looks like. Very thin. All right. And they would take glue and strands of cotton and they would put that on the nail on your if your nail tip was broken, and they would fix it with glue, and that's another, yeah, type of way of extending the nail. Okay, so in the 60s, yeah, paper for gardening. There you go, paper for gardening. I love it. So in the 60s, frosted pastel polish colors became popular. Frosted, okay? So pastels, your light colors, your pinks, your yellows, your purples and lavenders and light blues, okay? Because this was the time, later in that decade, of the flower children, okay? Or end papers, yes, they do call it end papers, but permanent wave papers, same thing. So later in that decade, the flower child nail art, and when we the flower children, the peace and love, peace, dude, peace, love, dude, right? They started using oil and acrylic paints to do nail art. All right. And this was introduced in the 60s. All right. You guys have any questions so far about these particular genres? I think it's pretty cool information, to be honest. When I first started doing nails, I had no idea about all this stuff. All right. K Jones says, I work in a dental lab. I am not surprised that a dentist figured this out. I swear a dental tech can figure out how to fix anything with all of our supplies. I agree. I agree. P Landry 62 said this is so interesting. It is. I personally find it very interesting. I mean, I am a nail tech, and every time I teach this subject, I feel like I learn a little bit more. Now, let's move into the 70s. Okay, the 70s. So this was when nail technicians offered the very first liquid and powder monomer and polymer powder nail services, commonly known as acrylic nails. Okay. In the 70s. So a man named Jeff Pink, Pink, he introduced the French manicure and what's known as ridge filler. Okay. This is a product that goes on the natural nail, and it makes ridged nails appear smooth, so it fills in the ridge. This is for natural nails, right? So singers back in the day, in the 70s, such as Cher, Diana Ross, if you don't know who they are, it's because you're a baby. All right. Singers such as Cher and Diana Ross fueled the trend for long sculpted nails. They were the ones who were the first ones to wear them back in the 70s. Long sculpted nails. Okay. So you can thank Cher and Diana Ross for that. All right. Now, the 80s, my favorite era. I was born in the 80s. Okay. 1981 to be exact. I really wish I would have been born in the 70s. I think it would have been so much fun. But I mean, I missed it anyway, so whatever. But the 80s were a great time too. So the 80s, this is when nail art really started popping. Okay, P Landry said, I remember seeing Cher on TV with those nails. I'm telling you, Cher was a beast back then. Okay, most of the stars were. Okay, now nail art, decals, jewels, metallic strips, hand drawn images. These were popular in the 80s. Okay. Okay. 83 here says Charlotte, and the Sparkle Supply said I was born in 66. Well, you got to enjoy the 80s, man. I was in my diapers in the 80s. I wish I could have enjoyed it. I would have loved to dress like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper and bebop around, with the stuff on my arms and the man. I wish I would have been a little older, but now I'm glad because I would be older now. But anyway, so these nail art really started popping. Okay, nail art was popping in the 80s. So liquid monomer and powder polymer, aka acrylic nails, became easier to apply, and they lasted longer. Okay, because the technology was innovating in this time. All right. Leg warmers. Yep, that's what I meant. Leg warmers. So silk nail wraps, okay, came into vogue, meaning became very popular, and followed by linen and fiberglass nail wraps. And if you don't know what those are, well, baby, you need to stick around because we are going to learn about those in a few more chapters. Okay. But popular nail polish colors ranged all the way from natural to dark and neon colors. I mean, that is when they bust on the scene. You could get any color you wanted when it came to nail polish starting in the 80s. Back before then, yeah, that was about it. You had your natural colors, you had your pastels, you had your reds. That was about it. Okay. So long nails with square tips ruled that decade. The 80s was the year of the long square tips. Okay? Yeah, the Flojo era. If you don't know who Flojo is, if you're a nail technician and you do not know who Flojo is, shame on you. Okay? Do your research. You need to know Flojo. Okay? Flojo was an Olympic runner, and she kind of gives me, what's that girl now, the young girl that wears the long nails and the lashes and the long nails, the lashes and the wigs. Oh my god, I cannot think of her name. It just popped out of my head. But Flojo is giving those types of vibes. That young lady who runs now, Jakari. Yes, Jakari Wilson. Jakari Wilson reminds me of a new age young Flojo. Shakari. Yeah, Shakari. There you go. Shakari Richardson. I said Wilson. Shakari Richardson. Okay. She wears her nails, she wears her lashes, she wears her makeup, and she runs in her hair, and she runs, and she don't get that was Flo. That's a Flojo reborn. Okay. So and they were curved and oh, they were beautiful. All right. So moving out of the 80s, let's move into the 90s. Okay. Some of y'all wasn't even born in the 90s, Lord. So in the 90s, this is when the day spas ushered in a resurgence of natural manicures and pedicures. The day spas came around, and this is when, like, what we know as the pedicure or the nail salon of today started then. Okay. So with that being said, the pedicure thrones, those weren't around until the 90s. We didn't start having those in salons until the 90s. Okay. And that's when pedicure services started to become popular in the 90s. If you got a manicure, if you got your nails done, you got your feet done. Okay. The airbrush gun. Lord, I can't tell you how many airbrush fumes or airbrush paint I've probably sniffed in my life. Okay. Um, These airbrush guns were so popular and common to apply nail designs back in the 90s, especially with the French tip. So Lori Maria said, she said the year of the French nails. You are absolutely right. The white tip or the French manicure was so popular and everybody had one. I think I wore a French tip for 10 years straight. Yeah. Um, and then in 1998, okay, a company known as Creative Nail Design, now known as CND, you probably heard of them, they introduced the very first spa pedicure system. Okay, system. So it's for the professional beauty industry. Okay, so they were the first ones. Kay Jones said Flojo is always who I think of for amazing nails. Yes. Yes. Her and Coco from SWV, but it, I digress if you don't know who that is. All right. So, CND created the first spa pedicure system, okay? What you see today where you have the scrub and the soap and the tab and all, they had all of that. They were the first ones to do that, okay? And then UV gel started to grow in popularity. And it was UV gel, not LED gel. UV gel started to grow in popularity in the 1990s. All right. No one really used it. It was it wasn't very popular, but it started in the 90s. Okay. Now, the square slash oval, aka squoval nail, became popular in the 90s. Everybody wore Scroval, even me. Don't judge me. The Squoval nail. Oh my God. Thank you, Mr. Pink. Thank you so much. Speaking of gel, they got the best gel system right now on the market, if you ask me. The square oval slash Squoval nail, thank you so much, became popular and everybody was wearing it. Now, me personally, I am not a fan after becoming a nail tech. Thank you so much. After becoming a nail tech and also an instructor, I am biased, so don't listen to me. If you like squoval, you can have it. But if you sit in my chair, you're not getting squoval. That is not a shape. Okay? Squoval, which is what you see in this picture right here, squoval is what your nails look like after you've been wearing them for about 2 weeks. Okay, that is not a nail shape. All right, but the square oval nail shape became very popular. Okay, very popular, and I hope that it's dying. Every now and then, I get a person who wants a squoval nail. Yeah, no, it's not a thing, but it's whatever. If you like it, I love it, but I ain't doing it. All right, so we are moved up to the 90s, and now we are in the 21st century. Okay. So Glamour Ghoul said, Mr. Pink said, holler. Okay. Glamour Ghoul said, that's what I think too. And I trust me, I agree. Yasmin said, man, I forgot I used to wear squoval nails in middle school. Yep. Mm-hmm. I know. SC Nail Tech, Chris said, I can't say nothing. I wore round long nails for a long time. Squoval. Thank you, Mimi. Yep, a squoval, square oval. That's what I say. The squoval. We're not doing that. Okay. Now, Mr. Pink said, if you like squoval, do that elegant almond instead. I agree. I agree. Mimi, thank you so much for the gifts. All right. So moving right along, let's talk about these enhancements. Thank you, Mr. Pink. Charlotte said, I hate doing squoval. Me too. Hey, aristocrat, I'm a fan. Thank you so much. Yasmin said, I had to wear squoval and short nails in physical ed class. Yeah, yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, because I don't know. I guess it wasn't sharp. It wasn't too sharp to hurt, to scratch you or whatever, or scratch someone else if you played ball or something. But it was, looking back at it, it's horrible. All right. So let's talk about advancements in the 21st century. So let's moving on up to now. All right. To the 2000s, the nine nines and the 2000s. Okay. Let's talk about that real quick. So we're still continuously redefining the nail industry, right? And advancing our education is crucial. This is why you're here, I hope, right? So let's talk about the 2000s. 2009. So in this era, 2000 to 2009, nail grooming reached an all-time high in terms of client demand, okay? And service choices, right? So this created a shortage of nail technicians. So in 2000, 2009, let me tell you something. We was booming. If you were a nail tech, you were getting money in the 2000s and up to 2009. You was getting money because there wasn't enough. Everybody wanted their nails done, and there wasn't enough nail techs, especially licensed ones. Let's be real. There was plenty of nail techs, but not licensed. All right. So the demand for UV gel enhancements increased, and there was a reason for that. If you know anything about gel, or if you ever use gel, you know that gel is superior to acrylic. I'm sorry. You can argue with somebody else about it. Gel is superior to acrylic when it comes to certain things. Okay. Number one, adhesion. Okay. Number one, its adhesion is impeccable. I have one of my clients right now. She has not gotten her nails done since before Christmas, 2 weeks before Christmas to be exact. And I use Mr. Pink's, Tickled Pink's UV gel and LED gel, UV slash LED gel on her. I've been using that gel exclusively for the past few clients of mine, just on a couple of them. And she texts me because I told her, I said, listen, I'm going to be busy in the new year. If you don't call me to do your nails before December the 25th, I won't be able to do them until after the 11th of January. And she was like, okay, no problem. Did the gel on her. She's been texting me ever since after Christmas. Oh my God, it's been 3 weeks. I need my nails done. And I'm just like, girl, I can't do it. I'm busy. I've got enrollment. I'm doing my classes. I'm just busy. I can't. So she texted me today and she was like, please tell me you can get me in. I said, baby, I can't get you till Wednesday. I got a class all day. I can't get you till Wednesday. She said, you know what? It's okay because my nails are still on. They're still hanging in there. They're stuck. They haven't moved. And this is why I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to wait on you. And I said, and I know because that's that jail, girl. That jail. It's a different animal. But I digress. It's great. Get you some tickled pink gel. Okay. Um, so it is superior also not only because of adhesion, but also its natural leveling capabilities. All right. Permanent shine properties and no odor. It has no odor. Okay. So UV gel became the demand for it became out of control. And there wasn't a lot of people that knew how to use it, to include me. Okay. When gel came out, I was like, nope, not doing it. You can't force me. I ain't doing it. And then now I don't want to do anything but gel, to be completely honest. All right. So another thing that happened in the 2000s was nail polish evolved with what we used to call chip and fade resistant formulations. But what it really was gel polish. We used to call it the chip free manicure because it didn't chip. Like regular polish chipped and flaked and you know, it came off in pieces, right? Gel, on the other hand, we called it chip free because it didn't chip like regular polish. If it did come off, it peeled all in one piece. Okay. So another thing that happened in the 2000s. Oh yeah, the 14-day mani. We called it the 14-day manicure because no manicure ever truly lasted 14 days. I mean, you were lucky if it lasted a whole week. Another thing that happened in the 2000s, in the 2000 through 2009, is that unsafe ingredients were eliminated from many nail polish brands. So back before the 2000s, they had things like formaldehyde and turmaline and these are toxic ingredients were inside of polishes. Toiline, I think it's called, and formaldehyde. So in the 2000s, they took that stuff out. Okay. And yes, shellac, again, that was the 14-day manicure, the chip free, fade resistant formulations, AKA gel polish, came out in the late 2000s. Okay. 2009 ish, 8, 9. Now, pedicures at this time became the second most requested nail service following manicures, hands down. Okay. Back before that, pedicures weren't a thing. In the 2000s, nines in the 2000s, pedicures, everybody got a pedicure. Imagine how people's feet looked back in the day before pedicure services were popular. Everybody was tearing up sheets. Okay. Now, let's bring it to the 2010s to present day. Key said, it's been a minute since I came across your live. Glad to see you again. Girl, I've been live all day. The past 3 days, actually, I've been live, but thanks for coming back through. Kitty said, I lived it. LOL. Our toes, they were awful. Nobody even looked at people's toes back then because everybody's toes looked bad. You had a really crappy polished job because you did it yourself. Right. So, everybody had long toenails. Nobody manicured them or pedicured them properly. All right. So let's bring it to 2010s to the present. So at this point, UV gel, the manicure, it sweeps the nation. Everybody's using gel. Everybody's asking for shellac, which is what they call CND, right? Everybody's, do you do shellac? Do you do the 14-day manicure? Do you do the chip resistant manicure? It was gel polish. And CND was one of the first people to come out with the brush on formula. Okay. And so back when it first came out, that was another, I hated it. I refused to use it. I was like, I'm only using polish. I'm not using that stuff. Now I can't stand regular polish. Okay. Now, acrylic dip powders. They re-entered the professional nail industry. And why do I say re-entered? Because they had come out long before the 2010s and to present times, but it just didn't catch on. Okay. One of the first companies that I ever knew about was a company called Back Scratchers. Okay. Back Scratchers. And back when Back Scratchers came out, and this was when I went to school in 2005, it was the first time I ever saw it. And I remember them, promoting it at the Premier Orlando show and at the I went to a Cosmoprof show, I believe, in Atlanta and saw it for the first time. And they were promoting it and they were doing the same thing they do today. They had the little dip container that you slipped your finger in, right? But the problem was the only colors they had was pink and white and clear. Okay? So they were promoting this dip powder that you pushed your finger into the little thing and you could get a little French tip, and then you had the pink back, and then it was a whole thing just like it is now. But nobody picked it up because we were like, well, shit, we can do pink and white with acrylic. We can do pink and white. Us acrylic people, well, if you wanted a French manicure, we polished it with white polish. It was like, yeah, this is whatever, blah, whatever. And it's with glue, resin, gross. All right. So it didn't pick up. But then 2010 to now, you guys have the luxury of colored acrylic dip powders. Okay, so you have every color under the sun. They match the polish that you put on your toes, that matches the gel that you put on your hands. Everything goes together. You can use it as encapsulated. You can create colored acrylic designs with it. Back scratchers is probably somewhere, crying in their pillow, wondering where they went wrong. And back then, and that was where they went wrong. I mean, times have changed. The technology has advanced, and here we are today. Okay. So, hand painted and nail stamping designs, nail art, are some of the most popular add-on services. That's where we are today. Okay. Not to mention, social media plays a key role in putting nail services and nail art in the spotlight. All right. So, right now, currently, and this is as of the making of this presentation, currently there are over 400,000 licensed nail technicians in the United States. That is insane. I know people right now, they're older, retired, matured, as we would say, nail technicians. My number is what is my nail tech number? 30,000 for Georgia. I know nail techs whose numbers are in the thousands. Like, they've been doing nails since there was only 1,000 nail techs in Georgia. Okay. So it has grown exponentially since the beginning of, the recording of nail licensing. Okay. So let's talk about career opportunities. That was a lot, right? That was a lot of information. I think that's pretty cool. Some of the stuff that we've endured over the years. And when it comes to the nail industry and things that have changed. Thank y'all so much for the love and the taps. I really appreciate it. And the gifts. You guys are amazing. All right. So let's move on to some career opportunities. Okay. Available to licensed nail technicians. Jennifer, I would love to know what your nail tech license is, since you've been licensed since 91. What your license number is. You're in Georgia too, girl? Sparkle said, thank you for educating us. You are welcome. 4927, girl, stop it. Mine is like 30,007 or something like that, right? So you definitely been in the game for a minute. All right, so let's move along, because I don't want to be. I gotta do this again tomorrow morning with the nail boss belt boss blueprints. So y'all make sure y'all jump in there. All right. So let's compare the career opportunities available for licensed nail technicians right now. Okay. So because rules and regulations vary according to from state to state, it's important to know which services are allowed in your state for licensure. Okay. So it's also important to define the work environment that you would like to work in. Okay. Because you can get your license and never do nails a day in your life. There are opportunities for that. Okay. So do you want to work in a nail salon? Do you want to work in a full service salon? And when I say full service, we're talking hair, skin, and nail services. Maybe even barber services, lash services. Maybe you want to work in a day spa. And in a day spa, they offer skin, body, nail, maybe hair services that emphasize beauty and wellness. Okay. Now, a medical spa, or medical podiatry office is an option. There's also the opportunity to be in salon management. You might manage a salon and not even do nails at all. That happens. Okay. That's a thing. And then there's sales consulting. Okay. Or educator for distributors. There are educators that don't work in salons. They just go around because if you notice, a lot of these shows, they go on year round in different areas of the country. Okay. In June, we have Premiere Orlando. They have Premiere Sacramento. They have Premiere in Columbus, Ohio. They have Premiere Philadelphia. They have all of these shows, they go around all year round teaching at these shows and also selling product. Okay. They sell the product that they teach how to use the products that they sell for the companies that they work for. All right. So not only are they sales consultants or distributors, but they do education for salons, or they may not only trade shows, but also special nail company symposiums, like when they have their own private education classes, things like that. So being a beauty school instructor like me, I did nails for 20 years. 20 plus years full time, and or either part time or full time. But since 2005, I've been licensed. Okay. And I did nails way before that. I just got my license in 2005. So now I'm a old beauty school instructor. Okay. So I don't do full time nails anymore. I still do nails. Don't get it twisted. I got plenty of clients, Lord. But I do it for fun, and I do it to keep my skills up and because I love it. So being a school instructor or maybe even a school owner. Okay. Um, online education which is what you're seeing now, either in real time or recorded. You're getting it in real time, and then also once I'm done, you'll be able to rewatch it. All right. So there's other options: fashion shows, photo shoots, movie and television productions. Okay. I have done quite a few of those in my life. Not my cup of tea. Too fast, too much moving, too much shaking. I don't It's not my favorite thing to do, but it is a lot of fun. You young nail techs, go for it. All right. Now, when you're talking about being a nail technician in a traditional salon or spa, okay, you may be offering natural nail services. You may also include manicures, gel nail polish, manicures, pedicures, nail strengthening treatments. Okay, so there's different types of nail salons out there, and if you are the type of nail tech, because this is something I want you guys to have a full understanding of before you go to nail school, or if you're in nail school, I want you to understand this. If you get out of nail school and you can't lay acrylic to save your whole stinking life, it is not the end of your career. Okay. There are natural nail service salons out here that do not offer any chemicals whatsoever. All they do is natural nails, natural gel, or they may use gel polish manicures, but they don't lay any acrylic or do any enhancements. Extensions. So it is something, and as a matter of fact, that's a very niche market. And if you can, with all these people that believe in natural this and natural that, and they don't want to do, no chemicals, I promise you, you'll make a killing. Okay. Now, there's also the nail technician in the traditional nail salon that does that, as well as artificial enhancements, including your liquid powder and liquid monomer and powder polymer enhancements, also known as acrylic nails, or odorless monomer. Okay. If you don't like the smell of it, there's odorless monomer. And then there's also your soft gel and hard gel enhancements. So Chris said New York Fashion Week, I think, hires nail techs and hairstylists for the show. They do. I think Kiki has done New York Fashion Week several times. Okay. So there are several different, you don't have to be perfect at all of them, right? Find something that you're really good at and do it. Dawn says, have you ever done biogel nails? I think that's a brand. I don't know what I have never used it myself. Okay. So another option, which is something that I train my students if they're interested, is the medical nail technician slash advanced nail technician course. Okay. And when you take that course and pass those levels of that course, you can work in a physician's office that uses your services as an ANT, advanced nail tech, and or medical nail technician, also known as MNT, to perform safe cosmetic manicures and pedicures on at-risk patients. Okay? So these are patients that they can still get their nails and feet done because they don't have any funguses or anything that they can transmit to you, but they're still not in a position where they need to go to a nail salon, because a nail salon, especially uh, the typical nail salon, is not safe for a person that has got diabetes, that has high blood pressure, elderly patients that maybe can't crawl in and out of those pedicure chairs. So they go to the physician. Okay. And the physician, I will just tell you, they will trim their toenails and debride their toenails if they're thick, cut their toenails in a way in which it doesn't look good. Not good. So they will hire someone, to a nail tech, to work in their salon to beautify the toenails, to go behind them. And sometimes they trust you enough to have you do the actual service yourself, aka cutting the toenails, trimming them, debriding them, things of that nature. Also doing what's known as prosthetic toenails. Prosthetic toenails is what you guys like to call acrylic toes, but we don't do that in the medical field. We use a special gel that is specifically and specially formulated to use on the skin, and it's very flexible, and insurance companies will pay for that. So you guys are out here doing acrylic toes, which is destroying your client's toenails, giving them funguses, making it worse, making the problem worse. And ultimately, they end up having to come to me, a medical nail tech or ANT or WNT, to apply a medical grade gel on them to help their toenails grow back. And it costs them $300 for one toe, and insurance pays for it. So, what do you want to do? $50 set of acrylic toes, or do a prosthetic toenail, a couple $150 each toe. Okay. Toe. One toe. Okay. So you have to be an ANT to do this, and then most doctors, if you're not an ANT, train you on site. But if you have that advanced ANT course training that focuses on providing protection from transfer of infection for at-risk clients in a salon or spa setting, and then you also have the MNT, which is a specialty course that includes an internship under the direction of a podiatrist or other physicians. Okay. Where is that course? Inbox me. I'll be giving that course very soon. I just need to schedule the date. It is a 5-day course. Now here's a caution. Caution, caution, caution. Just because you're an ANT and just because you're an MNT does not permit you as a nail technician to work outside of your scope of practice. Okay. As defined by your state. So, and the licensing regulations as defined by your state. So failure to comply with those things, even though you're an ANT or an MNT, can result in legal action and the loss of your license. Okay. So you also risk injuring your clients. So keep that in mind. If you're going to work for a podiatrist, so you got to stay within your scope of practice. All right. So any questions about that? All right. So salon management. Running a salon is another option as a licensed nail tech. Okay. Many businesses and management opportunities that are under salon management might include inventory manager. You may be a retail sales manager, a department head of a salon. And we're talking big salons here. Let's think more like Dillard's, their salon services, or some of these big chains, Paul Mitchell salons, things like that. Okay. You might be an assistant manager, a general manager, and with experience, you could also become a salon owner. Okay. Chris says it doesn't extend our scope. You're absolutely right. Does not extend your scope whatsoever. You cannot, just because a podiatrist tells you to do it, don't mean you should do it, and don't do it. It just broadens your knowledge. Correct. Okay. So with business classes, business classes are definitely advisable if you're going to be successful in the salon business. Okay. Like the one that I gave this morning, and we'll be continuing tomorrow. All right. So the next career path that you could do would be salon educator. Okay. So, many large independent salons out there, and salon chains, they hire experienced nail technicians and then they train them to educate others. Okay. So this can take many forms and it ranges from technical to management, and interpersonal relationship training. So it's another avenue that getting your license can help you with. All right. Independent educator. So I am an independent educator. I educate people, independently. I don't work for any company except my own. All right. And there are a lot of people out here that are being independent educators that have no business being independent educators. Okay. So let's keep that in mind as well. If you are out here teaching a class because you're trying a boot camp on the weekend and you don't have a clue what you're doing, you just started doing nails 5 minutes ago, please stop teaching these people. Okay. Because I spend way too much time unteaching and not enough time teaching. Okay. Because of all of the things that you people are putting out there in the world. Now, that's just me standing up on my soapbox for 5 seconds and I'm going to jump back down and tell y'all the rest of this the good education. All right. So you can create compelling classes and workshops, publicize and sell them, okay, and collect class fees. All right. But you need to have a strong specialty in your education. It's very highly recommended. Okay. Mary's talk says, how about nail techs that teach classes but are not instructors? Um, and charge a lot of money. You need to do your research. Okay. Again, I've been to classes at Premier Orlando and people were teaching them that had no business teaching them. Okay. Teaching students to do things and that the licensed students teaching, and all of them just sitting there in the classroom going, oh my God, what is she talking about? They teach us not to do that in school. And you just got to be very careful about who you get your education from. Do you have to be an instructor to teach? Absolutely not. Florida doesn't even require you to have an instructor license to teach. Texas doesn't even have it require you to have an instructor. You have to be licensed though to teach in a school. So it really depends on the state. And again, do your research. All right. Mary's talk says, that happens a lot in Massachusetts. Well, is it Massachusetts or is that Connecticut? Which one is the one that only requires like 100 hours? Is it Massachusetts? I question a lot of nail techs in Massachusetts. Taste It with Taya says, my teacher in school had no idea what she was doing. She only taught it because she had her cosmetology license. And honestly, a lot, and I will say this, I have a little bit more skin in the game when it comes to my school, but you will find if there's somebody who's been doing nails for 30 years and they're retired and they want to slow down, a lot of them go into education. That's one thing. But these nail techs that a lot of times they haven't even worked in the salon. They haven't been taught properly by proper instructors and they're just winging it. I mean, I kind of feel sorry for them in a way. I hear this every day. I get a lot of students. We just did orientation this past weekend, and one of them, she came from Empire Beauty School. She was like, Miss Mary, I had to quit, and I came over here because I wasn't learning nothing. I get people tell me that folks are playing my replays from YouTube in their salons. I mean, in their schools. I'm actually teaching at a lot of school. I'm teaching at several schools right now, apparently. But I digress. So another thing that you can do is be a manufacturer educator. Okay. So that is someone who is hired by a specific manufacturer to train salon professionals on how to use their products and provide advanced education, at salons or professional beauty stores or trade shows. Okay. An accomplished educator who is a good speaker can advance into that field of education and as a regional director, educator, even director of education. Okay. So, Kate says both Massachusetts and Connecticut are 100 hours. And I want to say, Connecticut just required a license not long ago. Okay. They just started requiring a license maybe 5, 7 years ago, something like that. So you didn't even have to have a license in Massachusetts for a long time. All right. So those are some other options for you. Let me get down here to my YouTube. Kay Jones says, if someone develops allergies to the regular products, can they have the medical service supplies used on them without problems? If you have an allergy to something, you can't touch it, period. So when it comes to the medical grade products, medical grade products are made to be put on the skin. So there shouldn't be anything in there that should cause you to have an allergic reaction. Excuse me. But the other regular nail products, gel, you cannot put that on the skin. So for an example, I'll just give y'all, y'all don't ask me nothing too much about this now, not too much. Okay, I'm just gonna show y'all real quick. This is one of the products here, Nanoflex. Let me put this on the screen. Nanoflex. Okay, Nanoflex is a medical grade. Hold on, let me make it so it doesn't. There you go. Nanoflex by Fusion. This is one of them. This is a medical grade gel that can be used on the skin. Okay, and this is what we use on toes. Toes. Okay, and that it has particles in it to keep you from getting a fungus as the product lays on the skin, and it needs to be taken off regularly so that you can see what's going on under it. Again, this is a prosthetic, okay, that you can charge lots of money for. Okay, again, you need to be licensed to use it. You can't even buy that stuff. I'm sure you can buy it on the black market, but you can't even buy that stuff without a license. They won't sell it to you. All right, so again, this is where your training comes in. All right, so I already said a beauty school instructor, right? You can be a beauty school instructor. Excellent and sought after salon nail technicians often have a desire to teach. All right. If this career path interests you, you guys, spend some time with your school instructors, now only if they're good ones, and ask them why they went into education. Ask them to be your mentor. Okay. Beauty school instructors, I really feel they should love what they do and be love to teach. Okay. You can't be one of those gatekeepers, people that don't want to talk and tell what's going on in the nail industry thing. You have to be able to share what you learn. And a lot of people are not going to do that. And they're not suitable to be instructors. Now, another thing that is you can be in another career you can choose is distributor sales consultant. Okay, salon industry. This salon industry really depends heavily on its relationship with product distributors. Okay, in order to stay up to date, abreast of changes in the marketplace. So, in addition to selling products, distributors, they also are sales consultants sometimes, and they provide information about new products, trends, techniques. Okay. This provides an excellent opportunity for highly skilled and trained nail professionals. If you are really good at doing nails, being a distributing a sales consultant, working for a company, say you're really good at doing Gel X, I pray would absolutely hire you to be a sales consultant, someone who knows what they're doing, uses the product, and can provide information on how to use it as well as train people. Okay, as needed. Okay, and then the last thing, film editorial nail technician. Now, I can tell you this from experience. People like, because I live in Georgia and close to Atlanta, Tyler Perry Studios is always, and you got to look for these jobs. Okay, a lot of times you have to get an agent. Okay, working for an agency, they call it agency. You work for an agent finds you, places you in to jobs. Okay, meaning jobs like film and television and music videos and things of that nature. If you want to find out about these jobs, it's easier for you to get these jobs through the agency that the company uses. Okay, clause by list says, how do you go about working with a prey? You need to contact them. They have every one of these companies have a contact page. Contact Apres. I've been talking to Apres for a couple of weeks now because I am going to be teaching their certification course in my class. So they're very easy to reach out to. Just reach out to them, send them an email, tell them you're interested in being a distributor sales consultant or even an independent educator with them. It doesn't hurt to ask. Okay. Um, so when you're a film or an editorial nail technician, you have the opportunity to work behind the scenes, okay? With magazines, with which they don't really exist too much anymore, but photo shoots for online magazines and internet photo shoots, as well as backstage for movies and TV sets. It's always going to be needed. Okay. You can start interning right out of school and by networking with photographers, okay, editorial stylists, or nail technicians who already work in these activities. Someone that I would reach out to is Kiki's Creations. Okay, Creations by Kiki, excuse me. She's done New York Fashion Week several times. Now, I don't know if she does it anymore, but because I know she was a little tired for a while, but she can put you on to these people. Okay, reach out. Just, it ain't nothing the Chat GPT can't help you with. Okay. Murray's talk said, but the agent is usually large cities. Not always. Not always. Not always. Um, like I said, utilize Chat GPT to your advantage. Ask them about you're a nail technician and you're looking for agencies that would hire you to work on movie sets. I promise you, you will find a wealth of information. Matter of fact, y'all do me a favor, go on to Chat GPT and ask Chat GPT what is the best nail school in Georgia. Just a little petty plug right there. Kiki did it last year, I think. Yeah, she probably did. I know she's done it a few years in a row. All right. Now, once you're officially assisting a seasoned nail technician on these photo shoots, ask a photographer for one or two of the images for your portfolio. I mean, do you think that these people are not that do these nails are not using these photos of these celebrities in their portfolios? Even if it's just barely showing their nails, if it's a natural nail look, they're using it in their portfolios and putting them on their Instagram, on their Facebooks, on whatever. Okay. So eventually, once you get known and they see you around, they're going to be inviting you to do these shoots as a paid nail tech. Okay. It's inevitable. Okay. So quality is required. Okay. And these certain qualities that they're looking for is technical expertise, persistence, networking skills. You people that are scared to talk, don't even try it. If you can't talk, you networking is talking. Okay, networking, you got to have the gift of gab. You got to talk to people. You got to be reliable. Okay, you have to have team spirit. Okay, and speed and attention to detail. Period. All right. So Cece says, what do you suggest for a hobby nail tech? Should I go to nail salon or practice at home? Hobby nail tech? You don't need to go to a salon. Definitely practice at home. Okay. Jennifer says, I've done some work for agents, producers. It's easy. You have to network. See, it's not hard. It really isn't. You just have to talk to people, not be afraid, and put yourself out there. It's one of these times where you're gonna have to, trust yourself. Trust in the Lord. Put yourself out there. All they can do is tell you no. Okay. All right. So that's the end of this chapter. All right. So in review, you know, a little class wrap up, some of the opportunities for a successful career in the nail technology nowadays have never been better. Okay. These are the days and times that if you're going to do it now. Okay. Back when in the beginning, back in the day, if you were a nail tech, that's all you got to do was nails. There was nothing else. Now you have so many opportunities and there are more jobs available than there are technicians to fill them. Okay. And I can tell you this for a fact. There are salons right now that are empty. Okay. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not telling you to go to work in these empty nail salons, but I am telling you that there is an full industry out there waiting for you to take advantage of these jobs. All right. So you can enjoy, a significant degree of success if you are dependable, ambitious, and willing to work. I mean, let's, and go out there and chase that bag. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to develop the necessary technical skills and personal characteristics if you want it. Okay. So you can't develop these positive behaviors that you'll need to achieve this level of success overnight. Okay. You got to practice. It's essential that you begin practicing the behaviors of successful people while you are in school. Okay. And in the beginning of your career, don't get lazy. Don't get stressed out about, oh, I'm not seeing success right away. It takes time. Okay. And if you do these things, like I'm telling you, As a result, I promise you, stick to it. You will be more competitive when you're when you enter the workforce, and in a few short months, maybe a year, you'll be in that place that you wanted to be in. But you can't give up. You have to keep practicing, keep up your skills, make sure that you are stay competitive, you know, go to these shows, listen to your mentors, find you a mentor, stick to watching me if that's all you can do, but just don't give up, and just remember that so many different options out there. This nail industry is forever evolving, it's forever changing. What's popular now might not even be popular in a year. Enter these competitions, enjoy this thing called nails. It has been so good to me. I promise you it will be good to you if you're good to it. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to close out this class with a little bit of that, inspirational, talk right there. I just hope you soak that up. All right? And don't give up, all right? You're a genius. Thank you. I'm a beginner, and it's the best. It really is. Okay. The days of you, having to work for someone else and not being able to make your own schedule, and missing your family functions and your kids birthday parties, and functions at school and baseball games, those days are over. Okay. So don't be so hard on yourself, and get out there and do the best you can. Okay. And it'll come back to you, I promise. This industry is, it's just what you get, what you put into it. All right. So Charlotte said, you've taught me so much more than my school ever did. I'm so glad to hear that. Kiki said, amen, 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 amen. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. Thank you. You are amazing. Jennifer said, OG Nail Tech here. Mary is amazing. Please listen to her. Thank you so much, Jennifer, the OG, the quadruple nail tech number. Girl, that's a word right there. A number that's in the four digits. Mine's 31,000, something like that. So you've definitely been doing it for a while. So Mary says, thanks for everything in this short time. God bless. God bless you too. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thank you so much. Y'all come back in the morning. If you want to join us for the Nail Boss Blueprint, we will be here at 10 a.m. I may or may not go live. I don't know. But take the opportunity to go ahead and sign up. The link is in the bio. It's probably the best information, the most informative information you have had in your entire nail career. I promise you it's worth every penny. So y'all have a wonderful night. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me for this hour and a half or so. And I'm